How to achieve more in a year than in 3 years. How to achieve more in a quarter than in an entire year. Today, I'm sharing strategies that allow you to go 3 to 4 times faster than average without doing more and without burning yourself out. And you might be thinking, who does he think he is? What is this thing? What is this promise again? No, believe me, it makes a real difference. And what I'm going to give you is really the best way to move faster and no longer feel frustrated thinking the years go by and I don't feel like I'm making progress, or I'm going too slowly, or I'm getting stuck, or I'm just going in circles, procrastinating. No, if you put this in place, at best, you'll really be able to go 3 to 4 times faster than average. But at the very least, you'll make progress on what matters to you and achieve your goals and projects. Welcome to Joyenting. I'm really happy to see you again, and today I have an ultra important tip that falls into one of my areas of genius, which is speed. But not to go fast just to rush and end up exhausted and burned out. No, it's about going fast, being efficient to make progress on what matters, but also to fail quickly, to learn faster. Yes, I'm going to talk about that too. But if I talk about it, I've been talking about productivity, organization, time management for over 15 years now. By the way, if you don't know me, this is the main theme of my YouTube channel and my podcast, because these episodes are on video on YouTube, but also available on my podcast, available on the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. platforms, when the format allows it, like this one. And right now, for the end of the year, I want to share some tips on what you can do right now at the end of the year to really ensure that next year you'll be able to move much faster on what matters to you, because it's also more fulfilling. It's also more satisfying to think, okay, I see that I'm doing things, it's paying off, I'm making progress, I'm energized, I'm motivated, rather than feeling, oh no, it's too slow, I'm doing a lot, but nothing's moving forward, I'm lost, and no matter how much I do, I feel like I'm getting stuck and not making any progress. I know that frustration, and that's why I'm sharing this strategy with you. It's to avoid that and move faster. And by the way, a very important, very special announcement. If you really like efficiency and speed, I suggest you design your 2025 plan in just 2 hours. 2 hours live with me and we'll take stock of 2024 and plan our 2025 with clarity, purpose, and intention. It's a whole process that I use, which is super effective, super clear, and super simple that we're going to set up together. If you want to know more, you can sign up. It's an online workshop specifically for those who want to take the time to really crush it in 2025. And also, check out the method. It's super simple, and the promise is that in just 2 hours, your 2025 plan will be clear. And even if it's not done in 2 hours, you'll have the method to take your time using my templates to do it at your own pace later. There you go, you have that in the description. Go check it out, sign up before the deadline. It's December 17, 2024. Reserve your spot before the workshop so you can participate, and all participants will get the replay, the documents, and everything you need to help you. So, you want to know how it's going to go? All the information below. Open the link and then sign up afterwards to see. Listen to what I have to say, because what we're going to set up during the workshop is the strategy that I've shared with you here. It's a strategy that took me years to build. By the way, this strategy, when you have a multi-potential mind and love to launch a bunch of projects, also helps manage multiple projects at the same time, move much faster, and avoid the frustration of starting many things without finishing them. I think this is going to resonate with you, my multi-potential friends. It also helps, even in your days, to get done in a few hours what would normally take a whole day. And that's what I've been using for years now. So, of course, if you want to go faster and save time compared to what most people do, maybe you should avoid the mistakes that everyone makes and the nonsense that the majority of people actually cultivate. And what are these nonsense? What are these mistakes? The first one is having no clarity at all. Yes, of course, if you don't have a destination, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a strategy, you're going nowhere. If you leave with your car and you don't know where you're going nowhere. You'll end up somewhere but not where you intended to arrive. Unless you're really lucky. But what often happens is that there are a lot of people who don't even take the time to sit down and ask themselves, what do I want in life? What are my goals? What are the things I want to cultivate, to develop, that I want to accomplish? We're really good at making shopping lists, really good at planning maybe trips and everything. When it comes to vacations and trips, people are really good at making a perfect plan for all the activities they're going to do, they're going to have fun and everything. However, when it comes to planning your professional projects, your life, your personal and professional development, or your business, there are fewer people involved, which is a shame. So the first thing to do is to stop being in this artistic blur and accept not having a goal. And besides, it's an important point because I don't know if you've already seen it or if you'll see it after I've published this content. I'm going to take stock of 2024, and 2024 was the year when I didn't set the goal, or I experienced that. The fact that we don't have the goal, ultimately, it's not the best model. You'll know more in this content. But if it's released, I'll put the link in the description or somewhere on the left or right. I don't know anymore. Or if it comes out later, subscribe and you'll get the info. But already, in fact, not being clear. Which leads to the second consequence, which is going in all directions. It's like the starting block, boom. You start running in all directions on several things without any coherence. We can manage multiple projects, we can have several goals, but when there's no coherence and everything is a mess and you're scattering your energy, that's the best way to waste time. Also, a very common mistake is the lack of structure. It's related to that. It's that we dive into setting goals, but we don't have the structure or the strategy to develop them. And what is symbolic in relation to that is the irregularity. If you're not going to be consistent, if you don't follow through on things, if you give up very often and very quickly, it means you don't yet have the right structure for that. The other mistake is to go like a brute, to exhaust yourself, to wear yourself out. I didn't say that the goal of going faster is to end up out of breath or to burn out. No, it's a marathon, so when I say go faster, it means that we can accomplish more, but not at the cost of our physical and mental health, not at the cost of burnout, because it costs a lot more, we pay a lot more in the long term. No, the goal here is to maintain a form of balance, to be efficient, to leverage our efforts, to be what we call efficient, less effort, more results. But also, one of the mistakes is not having sufficient resources. But actually, I was talking about burning out. People don't take the time to assess their time, money, and energy, and to manage those resources. As I often say, the issues with time aren't really time problems, they're energy problems. These are issues of focus and attention, where we place our emphasis, but they're also problems of structure, of how we're organized, and of consistency in what we implement on a daily basis. Because beyond all that, time is also a matter of priorities. And the last mistake is not being clear about your priorities. Because yes, you need to sort things out, you need to prioritize, you need to be clear about, okay, I've got a lot on my plate, I'm going to go faster. But where do I start? Because often, the question and the symptom is, where do I start? In what order do I do things? What are my deadlines? So, if you want to move forward, you need to avoid these mistakes. And when you're aware of these mistakes, you know that the goal is to do what's necessary to avoid burning out, to avoid getting scattered, and also to not stay in a sort of haze, in a fog for too long. Not to go at it without managing your resources, and also, and especially, to create a form of coherence and harmony in your progress, to maintain a balance as you move towards your goals. So I'm going to share the strategy to be able to move much faster. This strategy will require a certain mindset. As we often say, the mindset is what allows you to adopt the right strategy. And this mindset is based on different points, including the idea of failing faster. Because for me, if I accomplish more than the average person, and those who achieve more than average do so because they fail much faster, it's because they try things, they test. They're not here, but I'm afraid of failing, etc. No, they go for it, they mess up, they learn, they try again, they improve, they move forward. That's the mindset. It's about having that thing of learning from failure and failing much faster. If you spend a year on something and you mess up, go all in, mess up, and then iterate, improve, and move forward. Because at some point, it's better to mess up 10 things and have one thing that works than to just try one thing that flops, and that's it. So that's a strategy to adopt through failure. Of course, with common sense, the goal isn't to go to extremes, to spend all your time failing and doing just anything and taking uncontrolled risks. It's also a mindset of optimization, of efficiency, going beyond resilience to leverage what we call leverage. This mindset of optimization and efficiency leverage means that if I want to get somewhere, I'm not necessarily going to look for the most brute force way to get there. I'm going to think about how to do it in the most optimized way possible. Can't I use a defeat leverage? Can't I, and I'll talk about this shortly, surround myself with the right people to help me? Can't I take a shortcut? Can't I have some information, a skill, or a tool that will help me go much faster? Thinking about optimization, creativity, and always looking for the way. Yes, it's a reality, the path of least effort. It's a mindset. It's about saying, okay, if I'm going to go for it and go much faster, how can I do it in the most efficient way possible, and not just through brute force effort? And that's the power of leverage, optimization, processes, and so on, which I will talk about later. And the third point is the environment. Because no matter how hard we try, no matter how much effort we put in, if we're alone, poorly surrounded, or if the environment creates friction, we might eventually succeed, but it's much harder. A supportive environment helps you move much faster. So at the mindset level, it's important to keep that in mind. To tell yourself, okay, fail faster. Optimize, leverage, and cultivate an environment that supports me. So that's what allows you to have a good strategy to move much faster. This strategy, where does it start? And by the way, during the online workshop, really, sign up, it's going to be great. I'm going to show you how to go further in executing these different pillars. The first thing is maximum clarity. The clearer we are, the clearer it is, the faster we go. And a lot of people, they do a lot of things, but they don't know what their priorities are. I talked about it. They don't know where to direct their efforts, where to allocate resources. It's the ambiguity. And then it's random. And then we go at it like crazy and we wear ourselves out. When we're clear about where we're going and clear about the strategy we're putting in place, we move much faster. Clarity, it begins to, what I like to ask myself is, where do I see myself in 3 years? I like to think a bit further. In 3 years, where would I like to be? And I come back and I create a coherence. If I aim to move faster in a year, where do I want to be in 3 years? What foundational steps are needed this year to reach that 3-year goal? Similarly, where do I want to be by the end of the year? What is essential in the first quarter to contribute to that? This prevents falling behind. Similarly, if I want to be at a certain point by the end of the year, so in 12 months, where do I want to be? Okay, in the first quarter, what do I absolutely need to put in place that is essential to contribute to that? It helps avoid falling behind. When we manage to look further ahead and say, okay, the coherence is that there need to be these foundations, these pillars, and these steps, we become clear about these different stages. So that's the first thing. Be clear about where you want to go, why you want to go there, what the intention is, and by the way, what the meaning is. Always give it meaning and come back to it. Once clarity is good, then we can start getting into the concrete. Yes, because the big directions, all of that can remain vague. It's a bit like dreams, resolutions, intentions, or big goals. But we need to sort things out. And now, it's about taking the time to sort through all your projects, all your ideas, and get everything out. I always say this to clients, you've got too much going on in your head with all the potential options and 10,000 projects. Write everything down on paper and sort it out. Prioritize. And it's all about laying it all out and finally organizing, prioritizing. During the workshop, I'm going to show you how to do that, how to sort things out, because many people are lost with this. So the idea is really to clear my mind and sort things out and lighten the load. That means chronology. What do I start with? In what order? What can I do at the same time? What can't I do? Based on my resources. And when we've sorted things out, it already helps to lighten the mental load. So the goal of sorting is to lighten the load because we can't move much faster if we're too weighed down. And that allows us to finally start planning. To say to yourself, okay, if I want to get there with these projects, what's the process? What's the plan? And that's when we develop our strategy. The strategy can be based on both unique, exceptional things that we do once, or on regularity, habits, routines, and processes to put in place to reach the goal. But basically, the idea is I have the goal because I've sorted things out, I have my projects, and I know where I'm going with each of the projects. And for all these projects, I'm developing the plan. And that plan, you need to start thinking about. There's the famous how, and there are the two questions. There's the how, and there's the who. There's a book that I love that explains the concept of who versus how. Instead of asking how, ask who. Who can help me? Who has the information, the experience? Who has the skills to get me there much faster? That changed my life. Sometimes we want to reinvent the wheel. We want to reach a goal, but there are people who have already done it before us and can guide us. Or it's people we will partner with, people we will recruit to help us move much faster. As I said, doing it alone is complicated. And sometimes, when you have the right information, the right experience, the right skills, and the right people, things go much faster. So you need to think in terms of resources. Okay, the processes that, and who can help me get there much faster. But also, in addition to who can help me, how do I set up the right resources? How much time is this going to take me? How much is this going to cost me? And that helps to lay it all out. So, thinking, strategy, plan, but also the resources to allocate in terms of time, energy, money, and people to execute this plan. And now we can start to distribute. We come to a fundamental point that many people forget, which is deadlines. Because if we don't know and don't set an end, we don't know when we arrive. And this too, I struggle with my clients. It's about setting deadlines. If you don't see things through and don't finish your projects, it's because there's no end. Set an end, please. Set a deadline. I know every step to get there. And that's where we can use the famous Parkinson's law, which is ultra powerful, which is that if you want to go faster, tighten up the deadlines a little, in line with what is possible. Don't go too hard either, or you'll burn yourself out. But the idea is that, for example, I tell myself, if I want to do something and I set the deadline for the end of the year, I'll get it done by the end of the year. I know myself. On the other hand, if I set the deadline for 3 weeks, I'll get it done in 3 weeks, considering the realistic aspects of the project. But the point is to set deadlines and challenge yourself a bit on those deadlines, because it's better to slightly exceed them and move faster than to set something too long and then spend 10 years doing it. On the other hand, if I set a deadline of 3 weeks, I will do it in 3 weeks in the realistic aspect of the project. But the idea is to set deadlines and challenge yourself a bit on those deadlines, because it's better to slightly exceed them and move faster than to set something too long and then spend 10 years doing it. And once you've set your deadlines, that's when we can move on to execution. And the execution will always be regularity. Execution is, you have your plan and you are going to detail it on what you have to do each week, each day, and at the same time track the progress in relation to that. And you need precisely what we call dashboards, or a system to be able hop to the objective and to what we put in place, and whether it is you alone or you with a team, see the progress. I'll provide a lot of insights during the workshop, and in addition, in the bonuses you'll receive, you'll have materials to help you with this. But you need to understand the logic and the big picture of how to move faster, and why some people can move much faster than others. In fact, that's just it. They know their goals, sort tasks, and plan with strategy. This builds processes to succeed. And above all, once they've prioritized and sorted things out, they're really precise about the strategy, the plan to get there, the resources to allocate, the deadlines, and an execution that is consistent and coherent. And it is in the execution that we put in place the routines, the habits, the processes to be able to achieve this. Generally, when we set this up, we move much faster. The practical case where I really used this recently was in organizing the 2023 conference, where the deadline was very tight because I decided to hold it in the middle of July for September. For an event like this, it's complicated. So what I told myself was that I already had a much longer term vision where I wanted to take the conference back, etc. For an event like this, it's complicated. So what I told myself was that I already had a much longer term vision of where I wanted to take the conference, etc. I'll skip those details. But basically, the idea was that I had to quickly find the deadlines and the right people to book the venues, handle communication, manage marketing, organize the cities, and take care of the logistics to make sure everything was ready in exactly 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, the tour was ready. It was ready and it went really well, but that was exactly an example of that. But similarly, the Game Entrepreneurship event in 2019, we organized it, and the bulk of the event was prepared in just 3 to 4 months, which is very short, very little for an event of this scale. And the project started 6 months before the event, just to give you an idea. When I released the book Flow Tasking, honestly, from the moment I started writing it to the release of the book, it was honestly not even a month and a half. And again, because technically I really went all in. If we talk about the core of the project and the completion of the project, it was at the end of May, to launch it almost between early and mid-June. But how do we manage to do that? It's because I'm not alone and because I apply the advice that I'm giving you. So what I'm telling you here is that the more it's in your zone of genius, the more it's things you know how to do, or the more you have people around you who are skilled at doing it, the faster it will go. But the idea is that everything I'm sharing with you, everything I'm giving you is based on my own experience. That's what I put into practice. So it's up to you to put it into practice. So what are you doing now? You sign up for my workshop. Honestly, if you want to put this into practice, come on over. And also, and above all, follow the content, whether it's at the end of the year or the beginning of the year. You'll get plenty of gems to help you make a smooth transition. And I'll also put all the resources in the description if this topic interests you. Wishing you lots of success. See you